thought we should probably talk about my boots for a minute. I got a Christmas bonus from work and I wanted to treat myself. So I had a pair of boots in mind. They are tan suede, classic design, beautiful, comfortable. I could even wear them to work. But when I went to the store to try them on, I saw this pair of black patent leather boots with this high heel. And of course I thought, that's insane. But I tried them on. And I liked the way I felt in them. I was taller, I became a character. I thought I could be in The Cramps, or I could be in a movie that takes place in 60s Paris. And I liked that. And isn't that the point of fashion? To kind of discover yourself by taking on characters, by being something that maybe you aren't all the time. And that's the difference between fashion and wearing a pair of shoes to go to work in. So I got them. They're very impractical. They're pretty uncomfortable. But my friend Susanna said, "Steve, you'll get used to that." And she's right. I haven't had many instances or any instances to wear these boots outside. And I actually found myself coming home and putting them on from time to time and just walking around like I'm preparing dinner in the kitchen wearing these boots. But tonight I have a reason to wear them. I'm going out because Brennan got us tickets to see the stage production of Wicked at the Pantages Theater, and I've never seen it before. I saw the movie recently when it came out in theaters, and I loved it. I didn't expect to love it that much, but it really affected me emotionally, and I found myself sobbing in my seat. In fact, at the end of the movie, my face was drenched in tears. I did not see that coming. Did this happen to you when you watched it? So I'm very excited for tonight. I'm sure I will be a crying mess, and I will wear these boots and a trench coat. And perfume-wise, I'm gonna wear Youth Dew from Estée Lauder. I've known this perfume for most of my life. I'm very Gen X. I was born in the 70s. The mothers of most of my friends wore Youth Dew, or maybe even grandmothers. But I've always loved this perfume just because it's such a delight to smell. I've had friends my age in junior high who wore this perfume, and guess what? I'm wearing it now. It came out in 1953, and it's a spicy amber. I love the clove, the cinnamon, the oak moss, the patchouli. Some people talk about this Coca-Cola note in Youth Dew, and I get it, it's there. This was groundbreaking. I feel it paved the way for other spicy amber fragrances that became popular 2 decades later in the 70s, like Opium and Cinnabar, also from Estée Lauder. It smells very vintage. When I put this on my wrist and ask friends to smell me, they all say, "Oh, that's a beautiful vintage fragrance," but they all assume it's masculine because it's so spicy. This is what's so funny. Gender, perfume, it's all about marketing, and fashions and trends change. So masculine fragrances from the 70s are not the same as those aquatic, sport chic fragrances that are marketed to men now. So it just goes to show, if it smells fantastic on you, then wear it. In fact, because it is from a different time period, I love that growl that comes through with the oak moss and the patchouli. It makes it a very serious fragrance. And it's quite strong. A little goes a long way. So when I wear this tonight, I'm gonna spray once on a wrist and just dab like that. That's enough. If you put on more, you're gonna be smelling like Youth Dew for a week. But maybe that's a good thing. When I was a little kid, I was very intrigued by this old powder puff that my mom had in her makeup case. It was always there, although I never actually remember her using it. But it had a distinctive smell, an incredible look, and when I smell Youth Dew, it makes me think of the powder puff. I have to tell you, it's actually a recent revelation to me to think that this perfume doesn't necessarily smell like powder. It's the powder that smelled like perfume. It didn't dawn on me that that powder was highly perfumed with the patchouli forward chypre. They probably composed that perfume in the 50s, the same time that Youth Dew was created. So it's no coincidence that this perfume reminds me of those powder puffs. That animalic growl again, it's so interesting. Fragrances now, at least mainstream designer ones, would never go there. They wouldn't touch those animalic notes, but it's fascinating, especially when combined with aldehydes, which come across as very soapy. So it's this incredible dichotomy of dirty and clean. What a complex fragrance. In the early 2000s, Tom Ford came out with a new version of Youth Dew. And I thought that was so cool. A lot of people think of this fragrance as being incredibly old-fashioned. They call it a grandma perfume. But if Tom Ford, whose marketing is all about being chic, sophisticated, and sexy, can sing the praises of Youth Dew, so can I. So recently I decided to get myself a bottle. So I went to the local Macy's, which is in downtown Los Angeles. This is a perfume that needs to be bought in a department store. It is the epitome of American department store perfume. So I got to the Estée Lauder counter and the saleswoman there, I'm going to refer to her several times and I didn't catch her name, so I'm going to call her Cleo, was amazing. She had this look on her face like, I'm not in the mood. And I like that. I work in retail. I understood where she was coming from. I asked for Youth Dew, and she was surprised by that choice, but she got it out for me, and it was everything I wanted it to be. Now, Macy's looked pretty depressing. I can see why Cleo was not in the mood. I'd feel the same way if I worked there. It was completely bare. There were no other customers, and all of the counters were bare. There were no trays of perfume, which is what I was used to, shopping for perfume in a department store, but they were all put away. They were either in the glass counter or behind on the back counter. And it's because of theft. Cleo explained that they had terrible problems with smash and grabs and just people coming in off the street and just helping themselves to whatever they wanted. I know that this has been a problem in Los Angeles and probably many other places, but because of this, the department store experience was completely different. She said that very few people shop there anymore and that Macy's was going to close many locations, including that one. This is very sad to me because Barney's closed a few years ago. Department stores are on the way out. They're ghost towns. And because they were places I loved going to for all of my younger years, this seemed sad. When I was a teenager, I'd go to the mall and hang out in department stores because I liked smelling perfumes, I liked trying on clothes, and I liked hanging out with friends. People refer to these as third spaces. They're the spaces that aren't home, they're not work or school. These are places outside of all of that where you can socialize, you can hang out with your friends, you can watch people, you can just be among fellow human beings and not really have to do anything. Many of these spaces are disappearing, especially in America, because in other countries, they have pubs, they have places where people just convene. But in America, it's a consumer society, so we hang out and we shop. But now we shop by ourselves online. And that's a very different experience. I like putting on perfumes and sniffing myself and talking with the salesperson and getting opinions from friends. I feel that's a really good way to experience perfume. I know it sounds like I'm being nostalgic, and I'm not saying things were better back then, although shopping-wise, I do prefer it to be a social experience. I think it's more rewarding that way, so I do miss shopping in a store like that. But I guess I am literally being nostalgic because nostalgia means the pain of return. I suppose when you think about your youth and knowing that you can never go back, one can never go back, that's a painful realization. Although God knows, I'm so glad to not be in that awkward phase of my life anymore. So Cleo sold me the bottle, and I'm absolutely thrilled with it. Look how old school this is. It doesn't even have cellophane wrapping on it. That's old school. And look at this bottle with this prim little bow. And I love the dark color of this juice. I went to Macy's more recently, and sure enough, Cleo's predictions were coming true. There were signs everywhere that said, going out of business, everything on sale. So I thought I had to do my duty, go in and get some bargains. I went to the perfume counter and I tried on a few things and I thought I may as well if everything is on sale. And I was about to buy a perfume and then I asked the saleswoman how much it cost after the discount. And she said, "Oh," and pointed to a sign that was literally in front of my face that said cosmetics and perfume not included in the sale. I should have known. I work in perfume retail and I regularly tell people perfume never goes on sale. It's not seasonal. It never goes on sale. I'm not sure why I deluded myself into thinking that Macy's would have these incredible markdowns on perfume. So I didn't buy any perfume, but I did stock up on underwear and socks, the basics. And I saw a pair of trousers in the suit department, 40% off. And the first pair that I tried on, I loved. The fit was fantastic. And I realized mostly I wear jeans every day. I wanted an alternative to that. So I got these trousers with a nice crease. So I brought them home and I hemmed them myself using a spool of thread that I found at the Long Beach flea market. This whole sewing caddy was for sale and it was full of threads. And I thought, I actually need a spool of black thread, and I asked if I could just buy that for $1, and he said yes. So I think these trousers go so well with the boots, and I'm smelling so fantastic with Youth Dew. We went and saw the play. It was breathtaking. I'm moved when I see people on stage. More and more, the older I get, something about seeing talented people sing and dance, knowing the training and the commitment that it took for them to be able to do this, it just moves me and I start crying. So for the whole first song, I was in tears, and then I kept tearing up through the whole thing. It was beautiful. And we ended this perfect night by picking up some takeout from Zankou. Have you tried Zankou chicken? It's good.